So this is my Giant Explore E+1. I've had tremendous trouble with it. It's 2 months old. Giant are not really very helpful. They just keep referring me to the original dealer. Now, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 outbreak, so it's difficult to travel anywhere. So I've been taking it to my local Giant dealer, and when anything needs fixing, I have to pay labour. Giant eventually agree that they are going to put the parts on. But let me explain to you what's happened so far in the 2 months that I've owned it. So I bought it on the 15th of March 2020, just before the lockdown. On the 6th of April, I was cycling home from work in the rain. Water got into the electrics. Water actually got into the thumb switch here and into the controller. And then what happened was the bike got stuck into eco mode and the pedals would just randomly spin on their own. You couldn't turn it off. The only way to turn it off was to remove the battery. There was a real problem with it, so I sent it to the Giant dealer, apparently the local expert. They had to get some kind of dongle from Giant. The whole process just to plop these bits on here and here took 3 weeks. I got it back on the 28th of April. Okay, so I got it back and we're now going to use it again, and it seemed fine, absolutely not a problem. You'll notice though that I haven't got a left-hand pedal on, and the reason I haven't got a left-hand pedal is because this bike, I was cycling along the Oxford Canal along the towpath, and in about 500 yards the bike went from totally fine to the pedal hanging off, and so I had to get rescued. Went home. I was actually going to go out and do a 40 odd mile trip across lanes and canal routes, that kind of stuff, but that got stopped. That was on the 8th of May. We're now the 21st of May. It's still to be repaired, basically because the Giant dealer is too busy, and Giant themselves have been really tardy in getting the parts out to them. They finally turned up. But if I just, what I've done is I've removed the pedal here. I've got all the tools. And if I just turn this around, hopefully we can get that into focus. That is actually, there we go, that is actually a right-hand pedal arm. And so I've actually got, on this brand spanking new bike, fitted by Giant, 2 right-hand pedal arms, 2 right-hand pedals. Well, the reason we have left-hand pedal arms and not the same ones is because of the thread difference. So you get a left-hand thread, so it's the opposite to what a thread would normally do, and that stops the pedal from unwinding when you're going along. Well, of course, what's happened here is I've got a right-hand pedal arm, so as I'm pedaling along, it's unwound and come off. And in doing so, actually I'll take this off again, in doing so it's also completely stripped the threads. And that is because this pedal arm, despite Giant marketing themselves as a really good high quality brand, this pedal arm is made by someone called Sam CX or something like that. I've researched them online. They're some kind of middle of nowhere knocking shop. They don't really they don't feature. They're not Shimano quality or anything like that. There is posts online. Just like with electric problems, one guy had an off-road version of this, and he come off of a small jump, and the pedal just ripped straight out because the alloy is so soft. So that's what's happening at the moment with my bike. And again, I'm doing this video because I really would advise anyone that's thinking of an electric bike to think very carefully before they look at a Giant. The warranty process for Giant is if you buy one, their warranty says that they will not cover the labour. If you take it back to the dealer you got it from, which I can't at the moment, they may cover the labour, but Giant don't. So how does a bike manufacturer become the biggest in the world? Well, simply they don't actually repair anything and keep all the money. That's what seems to be happening. You might also notice at the moment I've got a voltmeter attached to the back. You can see the bike is off, and the voltmeter is sat at 0. It's fine. It's plugged in actually to the back light electrics at the moment, because when I got the bike home after the pedal fell off, I noted that the back light that was supposed to be keeping me safe on the road so people could see me and on the canal towpaths had actually stopped working. So really, really strange. So if I just turn this bike on, you can see it's hardly done any miles at all. And we're currently in a situation where we can scroll through. So that's daylight. That's this display as bright as possible. Lights are on. This is producing 5.3 volts at the moment. And what we're going to do, we're going to scroll. So that's daylight. That is kind of twilight. And again, we've still got 5.35 volts. And now we're going to go to, that's the night setting. So it's really, you can just about see it. This is for cycling at night when you really need your lights. And this has actually gone to 0, slightly minus. So it's actually turning it off at night. So there's clearly more electrical problems. And I wouldn't mind, but the apart from the light being part of the bike, this cable here, the little grey and white cable, is integrated into this mudguard and all the way through and into where the motor is. And so it's not exactly going to be an easy fix to sort this out or to find out the problems. I'm guessing it's yet more electrical problems from the Giant side of things. We're really not, as you can imagine, that impressed with it. And I just want to show you something else as well. So this bike's got 600 miles on it, and this is a chain wear indicator. It's currently at the 0.75, so that is about half worn. I reckon at 1% a chain is worn out, and that is already at 0.5 to 0.6. So this chain is well and truly on its way with 600 miles on it. That's just ridiculous. So this chain will then wear out the very expensive cassette, be impossible to get unless you go through Giant chain set, the actual chain rings themselves. You have to go directly through Giant, and this will be several £100s to put right. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm aware of that now, and I will be getting a better chain to fit onto that. But why should I pay for it? But there you go, that's Giant for you, and their wonderful build quality. I could go on. There are so many things wrong with this bike, and it's a shame because the actual spec looks really, really good, and it's got a lot of stuff like Shimano on it, which are a quality make. I'm very disappointed, as you can probably tell. I think I'm right to be disappointed. I think this bike has caused more problems. As an aside, I've had the bike, it will be 79 days soon when it goes in for its repair, because I've got to wait 2 weeks for this pedal arm to be fitted if I want them to do it. I have actually got an agreement that I can do it without avoiding the warranty for once. Yeah, 79 days, of which it would have been off the road for 58 of them. So that's really useful. And regarding repair costs, I had to pay £60 to have the electrics fixed. They were going to try and charge me for the pedal arms as well. So in the miles it's done, it's about the same miles per pound as my car for fuel. So it's certainly not wallet friendly. It might be eco should it ever work, but probably not, because it doesn't really work enough to make it viable as a piece of transport. It's not reliable. I certainly don't trust it anymore. And I have been talking with Giant about when all these restrictions, they can have it back, because yeah, this bike isn't really very good. I would strongly recommend, if anyone out there is watching this video and are thinking, do you know what, I quite like an electric bike, absolutely brilliant idea, don't bother getting a Giant. The warranty isn't good enough, the service isn't good enough, the products clearly don't last. I wouldn't get a Giant. There's plenty of different makes out there. This was £2,600, and from what I can see, what the parts that Giant are fitted that they can't, they don't have to buy from, like Shimano, they've spent absolutely the minimal amount as possible. That crank arm retails at £11 online, £11 for something that could take as much as 500 watts for it. Absolutely ridiculous. It never had a chance. Well, I've rattled on quite a bit. Hopefully with the other bits and pieces, this video will basically put you off Giant, really, because that's my intention. Until they sort themselves out and get get themselves working, so they're good for the customer. Their products are actually quality, that will last, that won't break down, that you can rely on. I can't recommend them, and I seriously would ask you to avoid them. Thank you very much for watching.